version of the April issue of CC&D magazine, Falling into Place, which happens to have a poem from our feature this evening in it, as well as a collection book, the Literary Town Hall, the CC&D edition, which has the January through April editions of issues and writings in it, which has three, count them, 1, 2, 3 poems. I believe 1, 2, or maybe all 3 of them were in the Poetry Pentathlon when this featured performer actually performed, and did he win? I think he should have if he didn't. Oh my God, he was so phenomenal. This is a phenomenal reader, a phenomenal writer. I'm so looking forward to hearing what this man has to say. Oh, he's phenomenal. I just sound like an idiot. Little girl, like, this is great. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the Poetic Unsub, GPA!
I want to start out by saying, dude, you are fortunate. Dude, I just want to give you thumbs up. Janet rocks. She freaking rocks. I'm going to say that on live. She rocks. Thank y'all for having me. I see some people I respect and have rhymed with before out here in the audience. I appreciate y'all for coming on out. I've said a number of times again, I always take my glasses off. No, I need them because I got to read. I got to read tonight a couple of poems because Janet got to me the last minute and said, hey, could you read the poems that are in this collection and what you did at the Pentathlon? I was like, wow, I know one of them, but the other ones I wrote on spontaneity, so bear with me, I'm going to do that. I'm going on record again and say I'm the biggest Charlie Newman fan. I am. I just think you rock, sir. Respect you and your craft. So if I can be as good a poet as you are someday, even a fourth of it, you know what I'm saying, that'd be hot. So here we go. Enough talking, here we go. When I was a little girl, all I wanted to do was do well in grammar school, do well in high school, do well in college, get a good job, and marry the man of my dreams. But it seems as though somewhere God had different plans for me because now my life is full with horror and screams. See, first it started out simple enough, the curse words, the criticizing, the sarcasm. Now from the punches and the kicks and the slaps, my flesh seems to suffer all kinds of bruises, sores, and spasms. See, I understand that things are always not smooth. They get a little rough when it comes to the sanctity of the thing called marriage. But we had 2 sons. We should have had 3 sons. But he was the victim of the kicks to the stomach. So therefore, I had a miscarriage. I went to the pastor to speak to him, and he said that you should keep praying and have prayerful perseverance. But after a broken jaw, 3 broken ribs, a broken arm, well, pastor, I'm really not trying to hear it. So I grabbed the kids. I grabbed the money out the Chase Bank account, grabbed the car keys, was preparing to leave, and the pressure started to mount. And as I was leaving out the door with the 2 sons, here was the dream snatcher coming in the door at the same time, saying, you can't do with me without. He said, what are you going for? Failure is the only thing you have in store. He said, without me, you're nothing but a 2-bit, $5 whore. Swung, rolled with the punches, and like J-Lo and enough, I had enough. And it seems as though my sons had enough too, because they had seen their mother encourage infection so rough. Bang, bang, bang. Now falling, fell. The dream stature was down. My sons no longer would walk around the house worried about their mother with a frown. Seemed as though for all the beatings I had took, my oldest son, had evened the score. So now we leave this life behind. Dreams hopefully no longer deferred, hopefully come to fruition because there was a dream snatcher. No more. My poem.
That was in CC&D.
Wow. You know, whenever I do poems like that, because I'm more of a romantic poet, I like love and I love women. But when I do stuff like that, I have to see it, and I was like, wow, I get really into it, so thank you. I'm going to read now, so excuse me, because I know a lot of you like, oh, what are you going to read? I'm going to read. Hey, forget it. Maya Angelou, one of the best poets ever, pulls out her book from time to time to read, so I guess if it's good for her, it's good for me too.
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near as good. This poem is called Arbitrary Thoughts. It's from my first book called The Confessional Heart of a Man. The education system is failing in the inner city. Women want independence and respect, but contemplate whether a large breast size will make them more pretty. Global warming is affecting the weather, but only a growing few realize. In videos, women are scantily clad. Young boys no longer need to fantasize. Feels good to know someone may not like me because of my skin color. Funny, hilarious that a man can be married to one woman and love another. What a startling turn of events that words like bitch and shit on regular television during prime time now is okay. And computers should be excellent learning aids for our kids, but instead they're a bait to make them predators prey. Isn't it possible that HIV and crack are diseases the government made? Why does the CEO of a company steal from his employees when he is already the most overpaid? Perhaps paranoia has gotten the best of me, and in anything that doesn't make sense, I worry. If so, then consider everything I said irrelevant. And these be my thoughts, arbitrary. My poem. I'm gonna come back to the reading aspect in a minute. I got one more poem to do. It's called A Helicopter, and it is a what is the name of it? What type of poem is this? A villanelle. It's like, okay, I was an English major in school, and somehow or another that escaped me, a villanelle. And Buddha, to hell with you for thinking that villanelle. Like, are you gonna do that? And I'm sitting there wondering. So it's called A Helicopter. I'll do that a little later on. I'll come up with something. I'm very close to my family. A lot of people know that. My brother especially, well, everybody, but my brother and I are really close friends besides being brothers. So I wear his chain. One day when I was going to perform, he put his chain around my neck. And so I wear it all the time, not just when I perform. I don't take it off unless it's asleep, so I don't choke on it or anything. So this poem is called My Brother's Chain. I wear my brother's chain around my neck. I wear my brother's chain around my neck because I admire, love, and respect him. I wear my brother's chain around my neck so to things that might cause me weakness, I don't fall prey. I wear my brother's chain around my neck because it seems as though everything smart that comes out his mouth is everything smart somebody else should say. I wear my brother's chain around my neck because he reminds me of my father. He resembling him more than I. And I find myself affectionately envious of that fact, so there's no need when I finish this poem to come up and say, why? I wear my brother's chain around my neck because when I look at his handsome face, I think about my father before he was taken from me by prostate cancer as if he was still here. So when I smile and look at my brother affectionately, silently, I shed a tear. I wear my brother's chain around my neck. My poem. It's time to pick this shit up. I mean, I was like, whoa. I was like, wow, this, that, and other, this, that, and other. All right. as you know, I'm part of the Waiting for the Bus Collective, which I'm glad to say I'm part of. Great group of individuals doing poetry, believe in the true art of poetry, not that other stuff that we hear all the time. It's just crap, and I'm not ashamed to say that it's crap, because a lot of times there's not a lot of expletives in poetry. There's not a lot of vulgarity in poetry. My favorite poet of all time, Langston Hughes, didn't curse in his poems. Nikki Giovanni didn't curse in her poems. Keats, Yeats, Wordsworth, Blake, they didn't curse in their poems. They just wrote lyrics, and sometimes they rhymed, sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they were about pastoral things, nature, love, but lust, even lust. But it wasn't offensive. You didn't wince at it. So I try to go according to that. So this poem is from the book of 24 Orgasms that was made by, published by Exact Change Press, and it's called 120 Minutes Before Midnight. The wind touches our skin gently. The skyline of our fair city, Chicago, is added ambiance. Every moment after I look at you, I realize the beautiful fails in its description of you. My movements are no longer my own, but they are commanded by your siren song. It is a melody akin to divine intervention. Lightning striking 3 times is the electricity from the embrace of our first kiss. And tenderly, I hold your face in my fingers, and I have no choice but to kiss you again. I do not remove your clothing from your body, but the fabric dissipates at each and every one of my touches. From the wind earlier, the goosebumps develop all over your flesh, and now my lips journey to kiss each and every one of them. In a passionate swoop, I lift your physical frame and lay it down upon a bed of lilies. I step back to let my vision enjoy this blessing in front of me. Beloved, you are that blessing. I light the candles. I turn off the lights. I close the blinds, and I check the locks. And then I return to you at 120 minutes before midnight. My poem. Trying to figure out where to go next, but okay. This is just something I wrote recently. This isn't in any book yet or anything like that. This is, I just want to pull myself into it. Want to pull myself into it. Want to pull myself into it. Yes, it is. It's in the book. I'm hoping Janet will publish this next book. It's called The Mind of a Poetic Unsub. I've got the manuscript and everything. I got the poems already laid out. I just need somebody to do it right by me and what have you, because I'll promote it myself and just sell and do all that stuff. But this is called Husband No More. On a beach on the south side of Chicago on a Sunday, a man stands in his swim trunks and naught else. There's a woman beautiful next to him, his love. And he looks over and smiles at her, and she smiles back affectionately. Their love is perfect. The sky is blue, and the water is just as blue, and you might think that the sky and the water are twins. The birds fly past. Chirp, 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 making their beautiful sound. The sun just hits the water perfectly. And the love between the man and the woman, perfect. The synchronicity between the water and the sky, perfect. The birds chirping, all in synchronicity with the other two things, perfect. And the man sits there in his reverie, and he says, there is no other place that I would rather be. And then off in the distance, he hears a noise. And he ignores it because he's at a public beach, and it's a Sunday, and it's the summer, so it makes sense. So he ignores it. And then he hears the noise again, louder. And then he hears his name called. And then he hears the noise. And then he hears his name called. And then he hears the noise, and then he hears the name called, and he is no longer on the beach. There is no longer any water that is the twin of the sky. There are no longer any birds chirping. There are people mumbling, talking. There is a woman who is no longer his love, who loathes him, hates his very existence. And there is a man in a gown, banging a gavel, saying, "Sir, do you agree for the petition of divorce?" My poem. As a lot of people know, I am a raging alcoholic. I'm not, you know, they say admittance is the first, whatever the hell that is.
Well, the first step.
I'm not going to deny it. Somebody asked me, they interviewed me for this magazine. They said, "Hey, what are some of the things you do to write?" I said, "Well, I watch Cinemax after dark. I drink Jim Beam and Coke and Heineken, and I stay up late. I don't sleep much at all, and that's how poetry comes." So I figured it's working so far. I figured I won't deviate from the plan. What the hell? Okay, back to the book. This poem. Oh, and by the way, the pentathlon. I always screw that up. I always say pentathlon, but it's pentathlon. Whatever it is, P-E-N. I know the first three letters are P-E-N and there's a T-H somewhere. Pentathlon. Beautiful. That's that public school education. It got me through, but didn't get me the rest of it. Last year I won. I was second winner or whatever. Well, thank you. Well, it's coming up again. And Buddha, I know you probably watched this, or whoever watched this or whatever, but guess what? I tell you what I want to do. I know I was asked to judge it before. I don't want to do that. I like to throw my hat in right now and defend the title. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm a wrestling buff. So I'm like, hey, why not? So let me win the title, let me do my thing, let me compete, because there's some poem in there that I've never heard of, and I'm like, wow. And I'm a better poet than I was last year, I think, so I like to do that. So if they say no, you can't do it, then okay, I'll judge and all that. But if so, I like to compete again. So there we go. All right. Yeah, that's some greasy shit. I can just see them now like, oh my God, how arrogant is that? I'm like, well, no, I just like to, I always figured if you won something, you're supposed to be in the thing to, you know.
Defend the title.
Yeah. Plus I made myself a little belt and everything. Pentathlon champion, yo. Alright. This is called The Helicopter. Over our neighborhood, once again, bullets soar and the helicopter flies. The noise brings concern over all our collective faces. As the police, paramedics, reporters, and onlookers gather, somewhere a mother cries. Chalk lines drawn as the once flowing blood dries. Nowhere else does this scene occur, only in the darkest of places. Over our neighborhood, once again bullets soar and the helicopter flies. Confused and dumbfounded with the lack of solutions to the violence, so exasperated as city size. But no one is saying anything. There are no evidence traces. As the police, paramedics, reporters, and onlookers gather, somewhere a mother cries. Persistent police pressure bursts silent pipes, providing only productive lies. Blood on the ground, on his torso, and even discolored his brand new gym shoes and laces. Over our neighborhood, once again, bullets soar and the helicopter flies. Black on black crime brings the same result. Another one of us dies. The pain persists perpetually. Not even the progression of time erases. As the police, paramedics, reporters, and onlookers gather, somewhere a mother cries. In a part of the city where they lack of affluence, the violence escalates because of the crack buys. The police and the government care whimsically, and that only pertains to the closing of open court cases. Over our neighborhood, once again, bullets soar, and the helicopter flies. As the police, paramedics, reporters, and onlookers gather, somewhere a mother cries. My poem. Can I get another one of these? Thank you.
I was gonna say I toast you.
Told you I'm alcoholic. Wow. Okay. Let's get a little dramatic here. All right, fine. Okay. On October 13th, it was a Saturday, 2009, a young woman, 17 years old, lays comatose in a hospital bed. Her father, who happens to be me, stands over her. Her father, who happens to be me, stands over her. And all the sounds that can be heard besides my persistent heartbeat are the boop, boop, boop. My daughter doesn't resemble the vivacious young lady that she has always been all 17 of her years, because there are wires and tubes going in and out of her, keeping her existence existing. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Sun at its highest point. And then all of a sudden, it turns. It seems as though the nocturnal has come early, several hours early. And I want to call my brother Miles, and I want to call my mom Shirley, but they didn't come to the hospital today. So I blink, not realizing what it is I saw, thinking, why is it the middle of the day and now that it's night? It's simply because the Grim Reaper stood on my left and Mephistopheles stayed on my right. I was astonished because this only happens in movies. And I wanted to run, I wanted to stand over my daughter, I wanted to do a bunch of things, but I guess fear made me stay where I was and didn't move me. The devil spoke condescendingly, said to me, Mark, called me by my government name as if to disrespect me. Mark, your daughter lies here near dead. Let me place this thought within your head. Instead of you trying to live a fruitful life, impart your soul to me instead. And I believe in God. Don't subscribe to any particular church or anything like that, but I believe in God. And I said no. And he folded his arms, crooked smile upon her face, and said, Grim Reaper, I guess it's time for this child to go. Grim Reaper raised his sight high, gleaming, death descending imminently. I said, wait, no. Beelzebub, Lucifer, Satan, wait. And he folded his arms and looked at me, tapped his foot impatiently, pulled contract from a pocket that he did not have, pulled pen from another pocket that he didn't have either, and then he started this maniacal laugh. I hear it still today. Placed it upon my daughter's chest. He said, either sign now or forever unpeacefully she will rest. Stuck between rock and rock. Forget a hard place. Tears streaming down as I looked upon my daughter's beautiful but death-like face. Reached for pen. Faith pulling at me. I said, Lucifer, you cannot win. He clicked his fingers. Grim Reaper raised his sight again, and it descended down when I covered my daughter with my body. I said, Lord, please, please, save my daughter. I don't care if you harm me. All of a sudden, the outside was no longer dark. Light had returned, and perhaps divine intervention had occurred, and in here my soul would not have to burn. To my left, there was no Grim Reaper. Lucifer no longer stood at my right. My daughter's eyes blinking, opening slowly, mouth hoarse from being in a month of a coma, saying, Daddy, I'm all right. And so for people who don't have faith, I now see the proof that the devil is truly a liar. My faith in God, the truth, my poem. The ironic thing about that is my daughter was in a, she had, I think it's the aorta. She was born without one, so they had a shunt. And she had a shunt, and the shunt failed. So it's supposed to be a routine operation. It was supposed to go in and just say, okay. So we were all there at the thing like, okay, we're going to go home, we're going to have some pizza and what have you. And that shit didn't happen like that. It was like, whoa, a whole month long ordeal. But she's great now. She's in college doing well. So, but I wrote that while I was sitting there and what have you. Yeah, what the hell? How am I doing? About time me shut down?
One or two more, you good.
Okay, I'll finish with this one. I always tell people that rappers, I always wanted to be a rapper because they have, like, they wind up on cribs and have cars with rims. I mean, for real. I mean, like, I got a house and all that, and it's a nice, it's a nice house. I want to thank my friend Sandy for getting me here. Like, I overslept, my buddy over there. Forget that he's a Cubs fan. Ignore that. That's not his fault. I mean, he just like, I mean, he had to like somebody, I guess. You can tell I'm a Sox fan, right? But that's my buddy. Been my friend for like decades and change. So appreciate him getting me here close to on time. But rappers and albums always had like one #1 single. So I had a poem that I performed a few places, and it's calling pretty good. And I'm gonna go out with this because I know you guys have been sitting here. It's from the book of 24 Orgasms. It's called Thrust. Well, yeah, if all you ladies are gonna see this clip, this is for you.
Bro, you ladies out there.
Yes, yeah. I have most of my. Imagine that you write a book called The Book of 24 Orgasms as a man, and ladies like it. Imagine how that might happen. With every feral thrust of obelisk, more of myself I seem to give. Her screams are tinged with language vulgar, disagreeing with herself, alternating between negative and positive. Over her shoulder, she gazes at me a blank stare. It is a slight smile combined with a contorted countenance, tells me I am right there. We are meshed together as if we had been born or lived all of our existence. And now forward her face turns. My aim is to release my seed deep within her chasm so that perhaps another life we produce. My aim is to release my seed deep within her heart so that my presence will always be there. My aim is to plant my seed upon her mental so that her every waking thought and slumbering dream be of no one but me. So with fingers creating indentations in her waist skin, I extend and stretch each thrust. Again, I extend and stretch each thrust. 1,000 times more, I extend and stretch each thrust. In similar fashion, she motivates her movements backwards. The ferocity is earnest and similar to a meteor falling to earth. Sweat has now created circumstances that enhance the quickening. So as she thrusts, I thrust. When she thrusts again, I retort a thrust. We thrust in unison. We thrust in unison. We thrust in unison. The orgasmic onslaught causes for the weakening of the knees. With thing moves continuing, I lift her to her fours. Her body begins to quiver, tremble, and shake. And no statue am I, my limbs begin to quake. The walls now birth a pond, grow into a river, and mature into an ocean. Oceans upon oceans. And I join the carnal concerto. Both of us ending in one final thrust. From the book of 24 Orgasms, Thrust, my poem. Thank you.
That's awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a slew of awesome people that are coming up for features here. We got Martin Altman next week. Martin Altman, yeah! Woo! We got Maureen Flannery the week after on May 3rd, in the beginning of May, and Oz Hardwick, who has been in calendars and has artwork in CC&D, so that'll be awesome in May. And ladies and gentlemen, if anybody wants to know about this performance that we just saw, you can get into the podcast at www.chaoticarts.org/thecafe, or you can have YouTube clips for as well in a day or two. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to see every one of you, and even more, because some of you are going to see it on video. I want even more of you here next week. Thank you so much. I look forward to